Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unk and Market Monk. Good morning, P. How was your week?
Really good. You had UNH early with drop there. I think we talked about that last week as the pullback being the most likely outcome, and then it bounced pretty hard. So hit that both directions. Really good for options. And then Oklo, man, I just
Yeah, wow.
he saw me talking about uncomfortable buys in that, so I had quite a bit and got rid of some of that for sure on that move. A couple, others in uranium, silver. I've had a lot of silver for a long time, so yeah, good. Good to see that. Thought the breakout in silver could get pretty violent, and uh, and it did. Busted through some resistance, I suppose, and now everybody's talking about it. So that's a good place to be with any positions that I don't think it's not necessarily like a sell signal when other people get excited about it, but you can just you have a good average already, and you're just kind of riding out the frenzy and just making some decisions on managing that. So a good place to be rather than chasing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if the firework comment from Goose was last week or this week, but I mean that's it. That is what it is. Just give yourself a little bit of time, and man, you're getting 20 to 30% out of bad plays right now. If
Yeah,
if you're in
yeah,
if you're in some good stuff, I mean it's working on the second 100% at this point. So um, yeah, just that man. I get you are in management season on my end a little more than looking for plays or um, trying to find a new play. It's just managing stuff we've been on for probably a quarter and a half, and some stuff maybe a year even that we've been on, and it's finally getting the right conditions for us to trade. So um, there's too many names for me last week, to be honest. P. It was a
yeah,
really good week. I wouldn't say I overtraded, but I overtraded on the number of trades I was in. Because it's just, I mean, uh, when I watch level two, there's just times you see it that there is no stopping this train. And I've been asking myself, which is a great conversation. I mean, anytime we have a bad day, and I think it was last Monday was really the last bad day, or maybe last Wednesday. Anyways, they're few and far between. But on those bad days, I'm like, all right, how many bad days are we gonna get? And that
yeah,
that that comment in January, or that thought in January, was like, all right, don't trust it. Or excuse me, in July was like, don't trust it until we have two bad red days. Just don't get caught. Don't get caught in the big bad crescendo pull down. Oh my God, we're falling on one day. At least make sure it's two, Unk. That's what I told myself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and and now I'm a little more like, we got to have a bad week. We really do.
Right,
I
right.
mean, that's how momentum works. That's how bullish and bearish markets work. I mean, a lot of you guys that came on in the momentum trading, a ton of you been with us through the whole entire thing. It was the same way the other way. Like we were like, is this ever gonna stop going down? And we didn't know when. We just knew it was sometime between September and January. And I could probably say
Yeah,
that right now the other way. This shit's got to stop somewhere between September and January. um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, I don't feel that way. But I mean, that's just how markets work, and that's the best example I can give on a short term. And we're currently there. It's just there's just nothing stopping this thing. We're getting the broadening that we talked about.
Yeah.
Well, like Google flat and that fucks up a little bit. Tesla flat. So those aren't really it right now. That's not where the good stuff's at, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. So there there was a there was an Nvidia trade there. Um, we two of them really. I mean the check down to 100, of course, and then the under 120 to pop to 130. Yeah, it's going further, but I mean you really would want to already be in that. Very hard to buy up there. I know I said that with chips the other day. The ASML. was one of the big stories last week, and that they make the machines that the foundries use to make the chips, and so it's like all the way back in terms of that sector. Um, Really kind of sour guidance from them, but then the next day TSM just brings the hype train back. That's the actual foundry,
Hmm.
all the Nvidia connections, all of that. So the sector kind of moves back up, but I mean it's a scalp look. You can scalp lots of stuff every day, but there's no safety there. And I mean, to me, the ASML, that the kind of the real stories in there, and I think it works its way through the market, eventually leads to a pretty significant pullback in those stocks. But I mean, even then again, what does that mean? What AVGO is going
Yeah.
to pull back to
Pull
150?
well and pull
I
back.
mean, what the
I think
hell?
another thing about that, P pull back from where? I mean, because
Exactly. Right.
we
Yeah.
might pull back to where we are today.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right. And that's it's very hard to find a top in the market unless it's a level that's already been established as a place where it rejects, and I can read the flow on it. I mean, there's plenty like that. Tesla has done that several times, and
I'm a price
coin.
guy, obviously, right? Like I
Yeah,
really care about prices. What volume profile is? It's price, and in general, I mean, I've taught you guys that I'm the cheapest guy in the room, even though I'm not. That's just I try to keep that mentality, and when you get up here on stocks, and I learned this from Tesla, right? Because I thought Tesla was like, man, when you're fresh, it was 300 at one time. How the hell is it 900? It makes no sense. But
yeah,
you have to look at the forward PE, and you have to look at the valuation and stuff like that because those numbers are what I mean. That's like the I don't want to call it the RSI, but it's definitely the rev limiter for the market. Like that's why I'm on Pfizer right now. I'll use a great name that I've been looking at from that angle. It's at like 10 forward PE right now. You're not going to get Pfizer at 10 forward PE for the rest of its existence. That's just a ludicrous number. It should be closer to maybe 20, 25.
yeah,
And those bigger names, they get forward, sometimes 60, and the average for tech companies over the last 10 years has been like 35 to 40 forward earnings times forward earnings. So that you do have to get back into fundamentals because some things you're gonna still you'll look at and you go, well, this is still undervalued. And we seen that with the Nvidia talk, what, like 6 months ago. It was news every day. Like they would just talk about the number of the market cap, not necessarily the forward PE. But as soon as they hit a trillion, we got an update every day on it. So
yeah,
that's kind of more important to me than, oh, like Netflix is $700, right? Well, they're doing so good with the ads that they need more ads.
yeah. Right. And Netflix. So here's my take on Netflix, and Facebook was the same way. Netflix was a good fundamentals trade when we were talking about it after that drop. And I didn't bottom tick Netflix at all.
No, me neither.
It had recovered, pretty significantly. And then I saw the follow through and the flow when I think it was like 240 or 280, something like that. And you know, but to try to top tick it based on fundamentals because you think it's way too expensive because it's $700, it just doesn't really work that way when these stocks start to break out and push through. Spotify was the one for me that did that, and it's just kept going.
Oh no,
And so
it
I'm
was
not.
Facebook for me.
Yeah, yeah. And, and the, the when it starts to get into this price discovery or whatever you want to call it, it can just keep grinding up. Palantir. I wouldn't buy Palantir up here. We've had plenty of good spots on Palantir, but it's forward PE. I think it's in the 40s. So it's high, but it's not
Well, that's like
egregiously bad for these conditions.
for me,
So
that's where most companies were in the last 10 to 15 years of market. If you had like a not an over a premium on your company, that's where you were at around 40.
yeah,
Um, okay, so the companies we're talking about, just for funsies, Pete, because we like to do funsies. Netflix, what's theirs?
um,
It's not that serious of a test. throw a number out
Yeah,
there.
no, like 35 probably.
They're 43, so they're where kind
Okay,
of you should be. Um, Palantir,
42.
252.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
Well,
so
yeah, it's way
so
higher than I thought.
I
Yeah.
don't. I'll say why in a second because it's just
Yeah.
one of those. Duh, I should know. Tesla,
Uh, 60.
62. Good job, P. Okay,
Okay.
why is Palantir so high? Easy, easy peasy. I don't even gotta look. I just know. Um, their float's too big. So when they move,
Oh,
every
okay. Yeah,
dollar they
yeah, yeah,
move is like
yeah.
a two
Right.
billion dollar move in their price. So if their stock
They're
moves at
right.
$1,
Yeah.
$2 billion
They're
that company's got to raise in price.
yes. Okay. Right. The float size is why I tend not to like them.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
just in terms of reading flow and all that. But it was just, I mean, when I'm talking, it was $9. That
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that was
yeah,
when I
yeah.
said like, okay, yeah, this is this is too
Yeah,
much.
well, that works.
And
That works the other way. I mean, you're talking almost
yeah,
$1 trillion lost the other way. I mean, the quick math, but
yeah,
still, yeah, yeah. $1 trillion cheaper. That's like that $100,000 car valuation I always use. You want it for $999? I'll trade you your
yeah,
Dave and Buster card for it. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, that's huge, and things like which you just brought that one back up. That's why I stayed away from DNA for so long, but it reverse split, so it's back to reality on that, and that's another reason Lucid kind of ain't it for me, especially after this last offering. I mean, yeah, they're not going to go out of business. They have great funding, but you want a piece of one piece of sand in the Sahara Desert? I don't,
right, yeah,
because that's
exactly.
that's what those turn into. So yeah, that's just you have to start looking at things like that when you get to the Looney Tunes feeling on numbers. Um, yeah, which I guess P you probably could do that on Spy too because they do the average for the stuff in Spy, right?
Right, yeah, no,
So you
that's
could
true.
find PE on Spy too, but it's just a good indicator. Not to get too sidetracked on
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you.
that. What do you have for? I heard you say commodities in our pregame. What was that conversation
Oh,
going to be about?
yeah. So,
29 on
well,
Spy. Sorry, I was looking. Okay, go
yeah.
on.
So, yeah. First of all, I mean, the move in silver, that was something that we were really,
We agreed on that one.
um, yeah,
26,
we were
26
we were into
bucks.
that.
26 bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the I talked about this 32, 36 area that I thought the move through that zone could be pretty quick. But you know the thing about there's two things about this. One is that for people to talk now about how silver's going to start its move shows you the difference between what they do and what we do. Why anyone needed for it to break 32 resistance to say okay we're bullish now is a little bit beyond me, except to say that you're trying to momentum trade silver,
Hmm.
which is not a sector that you really want to try to momentum trade. I think so. That's one side of it. The other side is that miners are still arguably undervalued, and
Yes.
in that I think even if silver just consolidates up here for a bit, miners can continue their move up just because of sector attention, sector optimism, and that's what the flow says is going to happen with a lot of those. And so that's why I hang around in ones where I do have a pretty good average, and I still think there are some buying opportunities in some of those miners too. And we were talking about HL last week, and there was a good spot to buy that one last week. AG, et
AG was
cetera.
great.
Yeah, exactly. So,
See that
so
weekly candle
that
over there?
so that's why the sector like I think the overall like chasing the overall move in silver is ridiculous to me if you're buying futures, but I do think that miners are right there, and in that respect, it performs in a similar way that Bitcoin does. I went bullish at MSTR. I was like 130. I'm not hedging anymore. I'm just in it, and it's it's kept going. It's approaching 220, but there are still a lot of miners that are going to give you some spots and opportunities. And the difference between us and like the Twitter people are doing victory laps on CLSK while they're still down 40%.
When's the last
They're
time?
not
When's
down.
the last time we really mentioned it outside of that dude's tweets?
Yeah, I mean it's right, exactly. It's just not. It's not the one. It's not. It isn't. And
No.
the reason is that for one thing, it's a dilution time bomb. When it starts to string together a couple good weeks, they'll just dilute it and they'll drop 15% overnight. There's a big risk there, and you have the bag holders above. Every 50 cents, every dollar, there's people that chased it the first time that are going to try to get out, and that stalls the move. So yeah, we have names that are unfamiliar to people, and those are better. Some of the well-known ones are better too in some respects, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason we do this how we do it, and I don't particularly care if that one goes up 15% in a day. Um, Too risky. I just know what can happen to it. So we find better setups.
Yeah, and the same goes with the smalls too. I know a lot of people don't like smalls, but I mean we're pretty diligent on no bios, and then
Yeah,
on that regard, because I mean those are less likely to work for you. And then I'm real diligent with the share structure size. That way, you're not stuck in an again. There's only 10 seats. You might not be able to sit down in one of the musical chairs, right? It's kind of how that works.
right,
So
right.
you need for
Yeah,
me, it's always been 7 million. I mean, I've played around with it a little bit, but you need 7 million shares, and I like about a million traded on the day. I don't really equate how long it takes to flip the float in that at all. I do look at that when it's running, but I mean, we had a play last week that was like, I think it was two. I don't know. It didn't come up with my stuff, but it was like 200 or 300%, and someone asked about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't see that, but that's what I didn't see is it just isn't the right share structure, and that's important just as well as the moves and stuff is just making sure you have those little bit of checks so you don't get caught in something um,
yeah,
where it could just knife in the morning, or it's such a big float that it's tough to turn around when it starts going down. Most of the miners we have on are pretty clean. um, it's just what you said, a lot of them have bag holders above even just after this last run. I'm not talking about the 2021 run, just after like the April, June, July run, they have bag holders from there.
yeah. Like all the CLSK guys are 16,
Yeah,
$17. I mean,
yeah.
that's
It's a good example
to
of
think.
using Twitter for what not to trade, because you kind of get the sense of that's what they need help. It's really, I don't know how else to put it, but
Right.
they need some
Yeah.
fucking help. They're not telling
It's
you
why.
for fun or
It,
because they're really green or because they're going to buy their Lambo. They're telling you on Twitter because they need some fucking help.
yeah. It's why transparency is a red flag word. That doesn't seem like one, but on the surface, it's like, oh, this guy's being transparent. He's telling me
He's
everything.
walking me through.
He's being transparent about the state of his bag, but he's not transparent about his intentions.
Yeah.
The intentions are to get a little bit of a buying frenzy going so he can get out. And yeah. Now other
Yeah, well, I mean, why? So psychologically, that works. That's such a like great spot for them. Like they're in trouble. Their entry sucks, but man, they can get you a better entry. Just trust
Yeah,
me. I got you. I got you right. Oh, this is it. This is better than mine. And
right.
then that's what the. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually you'll
Um,
be right. I get it, but not
right.
today,
Yeah.
Junior.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, and it's even worse with when they're talking options and
Oh God.
those guys who, I mean, they disappeared after September 20th because they all those options went to zero, and now they're back because they got the January ones, and so you'll see them for a couple months hyping those. Now, some other commodities here. Lithium
Woohoo!
um,
Woohoo!
is obviously been really good. Uh, to us, and the the move there, sitting at about $10 in futures. Uh, Realistically, short term, going to go to 12. I probably into 15 plus into next year. I mean, I don't think people understand how beaten down lithium really was, and it's why with LAC and some of those other ones, we talk about the numbers that we do. But at the same time, I think entry was so good, you take some off the table. And I don't even have, like, if I clear out LAC completely, let's say I were to do that. I haven't, but even if I did, I don't have a problem with buying that higher when it sets up again. And that's kind of what to what to look for it to set up, and to go with 550 to 8 kind of trade might set up eventually, but it's not just gonna rocket to $14. But you hold it for 5 years, it'll probably hit 15 in 2 years. I don't know, but I'm not. I think you do just take some money off the table and then do the free
Oh
share
yeah.
thing. I think
Well,
that's the best way to do it.
yeah. I mean, because you're getting decent range down here, especially if you were in a little early.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're 30, 40% up. Might as well take one trade. I mean, if not, you're not going to re-enter. You need to go in and out of these anyways. And I think that was one of the best conversations of the week. Is Tuesday. I believe it was Tuesday. I was like, I'm going to buy this again. And everyone else was like, oh, I like this price or this price, but it was a good conversation of people talking about where they had a plan to do something at, which that's what I'm here for. Um, and I still think we'll probably get a couple more of those days where I'm gonna be like, I'm buying today, like it just is what it is. But that level is gonna be a little fluid, and until it turns, I mean, it's why you keep it as simple as, hey, when it's below 2, you probably want to get some at this point, or below 3, you want to probably get some. So when we get back above 3, you have some shares to scale out of. The the overall move though, you're gonna want to get to a position that's not coming back. $2 would even do it. I normally don't throw out those numbers, but if you can get an average of $2 on some shares, it's not coming back. Set it and forget it with the price targets P has here, and it's just a good example of the time tradable with range and a bigger move coming in. So it's just like the bacon mushroom cheeseburger of what we do, man.
yeah, absolutely. And then oil. Just
I
want to
wasn't
talk
with
about.
you. I wasn't with you. I'm with you. I don't know if you noticed that, but I turned this
Yeah,
week on that one.
yeah. Well, and I mean the oil dipped to 68, and but you'll notice that a lot of the stocks didn't continue to collapse with it. Like they sort of hit their spot, and I think you're not going to see much more of a violent pullback in oil. So I do think it's time to get back in those, and
I
what
cannot wait. I cannot wait for
what
that
what you're
oxytalk.
going to see a couple months from now is people will be like, "Oh, hey, look, oil's getting started. It's getting going." And we're up 15% in some big stocks. Could be higher in some of the smalls and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I just think this is just an example of what we do. It's not oil stocks don't look that sexy. They rarely do, but this is our bread and butter, this kind of thing. So lithium didn't look great when we started buying it. Silver didn't look great when we started buying it. It was in a pretty decent pullback to that 26 area. So it's just that's just going to play out again, and that's just how these sectors work. And you just got to hold it for more than 5 minutes. You're not in weekly options on this stuff, and you're not in a pre-market share buy mentality of this where it's going to have this massive range that day. Just not how it works. But I mean they get moving, and it is just gonna keep going. It's like well, I was just teaching this the other day. Like so, Middle Ages, their fields were very long, not big squares. Why? They used oxen to plow them. Oxen get moving in one direction, they're just going to go in that direction. The pain in the ass to turn them around. And so when Oxy gets moving up, it's a lot easier for them to just keep pushing that move up. It has a lot more support in that move than it does to just keep just keep pulling back and going down and whatever. So our system, we've been at it a while. That one is one of our best, and so the sector as a whole, a lot of opportunity there. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at in oil right now.
And what I picked up from that is, you didn't say it, but I'm gonna say it, is the oil is the place if you want to trade options you probably should be at, or any of the boring shit, because it's gonna be
Yeah.
safer than your tech stuff or even your Lily that you do every day.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's just gonna be safer for you and probably a better place to start. Share size, it's gonna definitely teach you how greedy you are and how comfortable you are putting a chunk of money in, but that's gonna be a little safer spot. Like you're not gonna wake up to a 20% down candle in oil. Just not gonna. I mean, you'll if you do, it'll be on the news. Um,
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
something you see. Not something you see regularly there. So, um, yeah, no, that
And then real quick, copper. Copper looks very strong to me. So I'm still with it on that. And I mean
copper
that
copper means aluminum.
that yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they are kind of linked up. And I just with copper looking like it does. I mean, to me, I kind of take a simplistic outlook on recessions.
Sure.
You're not really going to go into a recession with copper showing strength like this. It just doesn't happen because I mean, it's just there's so much about the way that copper is linked to economic growth and retraction that you're not going to have copper demand, moving up like this, and then just have a you wake up to a recession. And I don't think you trade around recession fear anyway, but we do seem to be past that for the moment anyway.
Yeah, recession ain't bad for every. We talked about that last week. It's not bad for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Where's Dollar General at?
But right, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
um, let's get in the spy. Might as well. Ain't no reason to
yeah, let's do it.
do anything crazy.
Yeah.
I first want to start with NVIDIA though. I'm gonna bring that chart up here. Why not? They don't know what to do with it anyways. So, um, give, give those guys levels. They don't know what to do anyways.
Yeah.
I asked you at the end. I put you on the spot in the voice. Like 130 this week on NVIDIA. Is it gonna what's it gonna do above or below? And you were pretty quick to say above. And Monday I was like, got him. I got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah.
And it came back to, I mean, 134.16 is kind of the level I had. Generically, these came up after the reverse split. So to see it tested and stuff. But we're on the other side of that. Channels move quick. So shout out to P for calling the week it broke through the channel. I thought we were going to get one more pullback here, just in general on the video. So um, I'm interested if it comes up in your notes
It's
here in next week or so.
you're right. Yeah. Well, I think I alluded to it earlier that there's two stories happening there. I mean, it's easier to keep the hype going when you don't physically make anything.
Yes.
Like I mean that, and so the company, ASML is like, okay, we're making the machines
Facebook.
that make the chips, um, and we see some problems, guys.
Yeah.
But then TSM's like, oh, we're cranking these out, and Blackwell chips and Nvidia, demand through the roof, and all looks good. Everything looks good for the next 6 months to a year. We probably were we're a little bit too conservative in our estimates and whatever, and then that hype cycle into the idea people around chips, where they can just talk whatever about AI. So yeah, I mean, I just there's a lingering uh, contagion in it about the reality of producing this stuff, that will resurface. But like we said, Nvidia, you know, might pull back again to 120, or this 130 area might be where it pulls back to once it goes to 160. So yeah, I just kind of read flow day to day on that stuff.
Yeah, just interesting that we had I was unclear. I said it in voice, and think a couple of people picked it up. That was 105, 110, 115. I don't know where, but that would be a perfect high or low. It was 105
Yeah.
after the big dip. Um, but yeah, if that's all we get, this chart is super healthy. Just from a TA standpoint, and I'm with you. Like, kind of need to build up. We need to build a bigger shelf here. I mean, even on the 3 year, that 90 still looming. But
Right.
confirming that again, 105, 110, 115. I think it's got to happen. So yeah, I'm interested to see where you go because we have broke through what looks like a, a pretty big level here.
Um,
So
yeah. Well, and real quick too, before I give you the spy contracts, that Lamb Research,
yeah,
they're definitely on the like the hardware production side, and the bearish read there was spot on. For it's it's been pulling back, and its bounces aren't as strong. It gives them right back. So that's working its way down, and and that's kind of what I sort of expect to continue within that sector. It's not even so much winners and losers. It's which of those semiconductor chart boxes are you in? Are you physically making chips? If so, you're going to have a tougher time than the pure idea people of the world that are driving the whole sector move. Whereas for a long time it was everybody flying. I mean, just
yeah,
everybody having these 3, 4, 6% days along with Nvidia. So reality is setting in, but reality is going to work its way through the sector and not all at once. And that's where
perfect,
I'm at with them.
perfect. P.
Um,
Spy last week you were well, I was 583, you were 584. I was 569, you were 574. So you're just a little tighter candle, but man, um, you were real close. You were four off the bottom and two off the top. So shout out to you for that. These levels are hard up here to pick. Um, I guess you could kind of go off the psychological, knowing the stock a little bit on the top, but the bottoms are getting very hard to pick out in this uptrend for
yes.
me. So, what do you got this week?
So I got a call for once. Sold call at this point, but it's got some open interest that is kind of working its way up the chart. It's December 20th, 615C, and that's significantly up from here. I'm not surprised it's bid side, but definitely relevant in terms of starting to try to control the top a little bit. And
Okay,
so it's I mean it's not in and of itself it's not a bearish signal, but it's something I haven't seen in a long time where there's a really, I think, relevant call above that's going to start to um, drive the car a bit. Puts, there's just so many puts that died on the 18th that
yeah, that was a big day.
it's gonna it's gonna take a minute to see where they kind of where they hash things out there. 520 March, 520p March is the put of interest to me, and I think the bottom on it is probably higher than that in the maybe 535 to 545, something like that. But yeah, so we just kind of keep moving that floor up to me. But that's the longer term outlook is it's like you got a December one above, well above 600. Hard to believe we would just fly through 600 on SPY to me. I don't
Sure, sure.
know. But and then you've got that put below it at 520, but it's got enough time on it. You can add 20, 30 points to that price. And that's really what that contract is saying to me. Um, all right. So my levels for the week, yeah, just getting tricky. Let me see here.
Hell yeah, it's getting tricky. I'm just gonna go with that because
Yeah, I kind of like, so I'm going to say 581.50 bottom.
wow.
And 586.10 top.
That's pretty tight, P.
Yeah, I know.
You scared me with that top. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go five. Yeah, I'm gonna go 580. I'm with you on that 586 area. I just think I'm gonna just take higher change. We'll go 99. We'll go all the way to the seven, and then 576.04 on the bottom. It's just this auto RTL in the 1 hour. We haven't pulled back like that, but if we do, that's where I'd see it going to. Um, but yeah, kind of. I mean, if I stuck on the 1 hour, your numbers right there at the 581, that makes total sense. Um, yeah, we need a little relief. I don't know how else to say it. I
Yeah,
don't know how else
yeah,
to say it. We really do. If not, especially on this chart, it's hard to pick out. It just hits if you look at the chart, it just hits psychological numbers. Test them twice and it's through. So it's either the 0 or the 5 right now. I mean, it takes a couple days usually, and that's just the trend we've been in. Just super strong
yeah.
uptrend. So I don't really see it breaking, but I do see it slowing down a little bit. Um, what do we got? We got Tesla this week. Who else we got? T-Mobile.
Um,
Um,
I mean the stuff I like isn't aren't the big movers of the
yeah,
whole
yeah, but
market,
who
but like
is it?
it's like
Who's
it's
in there?
Enphase, it's Texas Instruments,
Yeah, no. Who's S and
D-
P? S and
DRP.
P ER
Oh,
this
okay.
week.
Yeah, let me.
Who's S and P ER this week? I know Tesla. I know T-Mobile.
Yeah, Verizon.
Verizon. Yeah,
Sorry, the
Verizon.
whale site did a redesign, so
I don't see much. Coke. It's probably in there, right? IBM. GE. Now there's some big ones.
yeah,
There's some big ones. A GE, GM.
I have UPS, IBM. Um, there's 3M.
Yeah. So there is some big stuff in
So
there that probably
yeah,
is probably could maybe throttle us hopefully a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Final thoughts, here, P.
Um, yeah. I mean, I think I just would I would reiterate that the prof notes thing. I'm looking for the quick move early in the day on those a lot of the time, but on the levels that are really significant, I do try to kind of hash that out for people, try to add a little more detail there. I'm not trying to be like a shot caller, just get people to instantly follow me or anything, but they're those are safe if you have the time to put into it and are quick. But I think overall, I just really encourage people hot list those levels, those ranges that we talk about, and the I mean, coin closed at 220. That was a big pivot for me, but ran pretty hard to get there, so
Bagged on
your
them
risk kind of goes up.
165s. Bagged on
Yeah,
them 165s.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm managing that, and I'm managing MSTR. Um, yeah, MSTR can go to 300. Sure, why not? But I mean, I bought it for 130, so I'm just kind of chilling right now. But yeah, so just more of that and avoid FOMO. We're not a FOMO room. No need for that. So we have plenty of stuff to talk about and trade, and um, you'll be laughing later if you buy oil. To me, that's my take on that.
Okay. Pretty much we're similar here. I went from halftime to time. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet for you guys, but I'm gonna break out an old Unk one and this week and just stay on your winners. Till the chart
Yeah,
doesn't pay. Till the chart doesn't pay. Don't get distracted. If you had a winning trade, I mean, just ask. I had a winning trade. What do you guys see? I'm resetting my plan here. Reset your plan. The flow's still in. The thesis is still there. Stay on your winners. Don't leave them. Take a
yeah,
lesson from Pele in
absolutely.
that regard. I mean, there's no one better at staying. That guy traded Mullen longer than anyone I know.
Yeah, right.
All right, are you ready to get to work, P?
Yeah, so just like 2 minutes.
Perfect.
I'll
Like and subscribe. Link somewhere.